Welcome everybody, welcome to the channel. You're not going to see me face on this one. I've got the camera set up. I have I've been given, you've probably seen me talk about this on other videos. This is the tester kit for the Dulux Trade, you can see it on the box, Aqua Uniprimer. This is a grip primer. It is an all-round primer, sealer, stain blocker and undercoat that Dulux have brought out. I hope you can see the box just there. It is water-based, there's no smell. I've tried this on a project of some bathroom cabinets that I've used as a primer and undercoat, and so far so good, it's worked well. But where does this sit against other products? Well, this is touch dry in 30 minutes, you can see it on the box, and it's recoatable in an hour. What you've got to be mindful of, and I'm going to say to you and reiterate, that does not mean it is scratch resistant in the first few hours or the first day. They talk about, and when I say talk about, it's the reps and the people from Dulux, the curing time is easy, 5 to 6 days. So don't be thinking after a couple of days you get your nail on it and scratch it. Go 5 to 6 days and then it starts curing, and the longer you leave it the better. But you can touch it after 30 minutes and you can recoat after an hour. I've not opened this box. I know what's in the box because I've seen other boxes that have been opened before, and I'm going to open it first time, unboxing, and let's see what we've got. And I don't think any of us read instructions, but they're there if you want to have a look at it. I'll quickly just, dear customer, it's all on there. Your exclusive sample pack of our new Dulux Trade Aqua Uniprimer is here. We're excited for you to try it and experience its performance firsthand. Inside you'll find sample panels to test on various surfaces, including UPVC, coffee stained plasterboard, coloured ceramic tile, previously painted solvent based gloss, previously painted matte and aluminium. That's all in the kit. Please allow 7 days. So I wasn't far wrong, was I? 5 to 6. Please allow 7 days for it to fully curing and adhesion. Don't forget it can be used on many more surfaces. These can be found in the enclosed leaflet along with all the product features and benefits. We hope you enjoy testing the Aqua Uniprimer, and for more details scan the QR code. Now I'm going to bring that QR code in there. If you want to just freeze the screen or pause the screen, pause the video, please use that QR code for more information. Right, let's move on, because you are going to see me, I am impartial. Nobody's given me this to promote it. Nobody's given me any money to say please test it for us. I'm going to do this as you're probably getting these kits to actually try out. So there's the coloured tile, there's the black, I think it's on MDF, black painted matte. We have a piece of aluminium, we have a piece of UPVC plastic, and oh, I didn't know that, we have a piece of glossed skirting board or architrave. Wow, skirting board. Look, it's got a knot in it, it's the knot there. So do you know what? I'm going to do these sample testing with this paint. There's the piece of plasterboard, you can see that, with some coffee stains on it. There's the paint. I'm going to got some little brushes. Got some little sample brushes, and I'm going to give this a mix up. I've got a mixing stick. And I'm going to open the tin. Okie dokie, you can see me, I've got the screwdriver. I'm just going to open this lid. I better turn that mixing stick round. It says lick on it, lick paint. Another good paint. If you've not tried it, please look at the YouTube videos. Right. I'm opening this for the first time for you. I'm going to smell it. There's quite a strong smell of ammonia to that. That, if you know what I mean by a nappy bucket. Let's wipe that round. Let's give it a mix up. Feels quite thick in the tub. Hope you can see this. That actually folds in nicely to that paint in the tin. Now, when I've used this recently for bathroom cabinets, I used a little mini roller, 4-inch roller, 10mm nap, and it applied beautifully. The opacity, not too bad. It was a wooden cabinet, a light wood cabinet, and I gave it 2 coats anyway, so bear that in mind. Let's get all these samples so you can see them. We've got the aluminium, we've got the tiles there. Do you know what? I'm going to get some methylated spirit. I'll be back. Okay, there you see me. I've got some methylated spirit. The reason I brought this in is because I don't think it'd be fair to actually test on a piece of plastic, aluminium and ceramic tile without actually, say, degreasing it. So I've just got a microfiber cloth, and on the plastic I'm just going to wipe it over. I use methylated spirit because it does evaporate, whereas white spirit leaves a greasy film behind. Cellulose thinners is a little bit too extreme. Methylated spirit, which is denatured alcohol, I can actually see on there, I don't know whether you can, as I wipe it, it cleans the surface. It'll take any grease off that might be off my fingers or anybody who's touched it as they packed it in the box. And it's actually now, it evaporates really quickly. So it evaporates off the surface. Now, please do not drink your methylated spirit. I know there's some people like it out the cold cabinet, but please do not drink it. It is not a good idea. So you can see what I'm doing. I'm just pre-wiping over these surfaces with methylated spirit to clean them, particularly the tile, the aluminium, and that piece of UPVC there. So this is the aluminium. I'm doing one side. Just going to wipe that over as well, just in case there's any grease. Now, I think for the purpose of this video, we will do 1 coat, and I will do a section that's had 2 coats on it. So I will come back and do a second coat later. But for this, we will do 1 coat for now. That's evaporated nicely. I'm getting overcome by fumes. Let's get the lid back on there. Put that in my box. Right, I'm starting. Let's have these all in a position you can see it. Let's go with the tile that's got coffee stains on it. I'm going to do half of it. I don't like working out the tin, but needs must. Now, this piece of plasterboard is a porous surface. You agree that's nicely covered? I'm going to go across that bottom as well. There's another coffee stain. I'm putting enough on, but I'm not going mad. Happy with that? Let's get it up out the way. Let's go with the tile. I'll do exactly the same with the tile. I'll leave a corner where my finger is, and we'll go across the top. Now, if I hadn't have degreased that, I think that would probably be sissing on me, i.e. the surface tension with the water-based paint would have sis marks on it, and I've not got that. Now, I want to be true to myself. I don't want to be putting too much on, but I don't want to be putting too less on, so I'm brushing it out nicely. And again, this is just 1 coat. And looking at that, the opacity is not too bad. We've got a blue tile, so we expect a little bit of grinning through. Let's put that out the way. Up there. Let's go with the piece of glossed woodwork. Now, do you know what? I'm not going to rub that down. I'm going to go with it. But to be fair, do you know what? I am going to rub it. I'm going to rub across the top because, do you know what? That is very rough, and it won't be fair to I would always rub down my woodwork anyway. So I'm going to do that section there on the moulding. I'm rubbing it down. I've got to dust a brush. So we've got the moulding side there, the shape. I'm going to paint that over. There's a knot in there as well. Now I'm not going to say that this will stop knots because I don't find water-based products do stop knots particularly well. But I'm just going to give that a nice coat as if I was painting it myself. And again, the opacity over something that has been, can you see that? White gloss previously, and the white gloss is yellowed because it's been in a box, and that's why oil-based paints go yellow, because they're not seeing the light, they're not getting the UV natural light. I think we can safely say that's a decent opacity on there. We sanded that top section, but I haven't sanded that section there, so I'm going to leave that on the side as well. Right, this is the piece of black emulsion. Again, we're going to go across the top, leaving me a finger section to hold it, like so. I think there's plenty on there, don't need to put any more on, and I'm not brushing it out to make it look too thin. I want to get an even coat over all of it. I'm happy with that. Opacity not too bad. This is going over that black emulsion. So I'm happy with that. What I will do is, when these are all dry a bit later on, I'll give a section of it a second coat. And then what I will do is come back to it in 7 days. So this time next week. Aluminium, or aluminum, as my American people who follow me say, aluminum. The word is aluminium. So I've got plenty on there with that little brush. Just brushing it out to get it even. I'm not putting any more on, I'm not taking any more off, it's all on the brush bristle. Lay off with the tips of the bristle. I'll do it again for the camera if you didn't see me. It's tips of the bristle. That's not bad at all. Put that down there so you can see it. Now we're on to the plastic, the PVC. Same sort of dunk of paint, so I've got enough on it, and I'm going to do a cross like I've done before. Now this isn't sanded down, it's only had that wipe over. Not bad at all. So if you can see what I've done there, I'll just do it again if you didn't see me on camera very well. I'm just laying it off nicely. That I'm leaving there. I'm going to wash that brush out, and I'm going to come back in an hour and give a section of this these another coat. There you go. And then I'm going to come back in 7 days and we will have a look at these close up. So catch you in a little while. Right, I'm back. What I'm going to do some taping up, so I do half like this. That's had one coat, this will be two. I'll do that on all of these. Now, the feel for how these are, now they're dry, it is actually quite a nice, smoothed out paint. It doesn't feel ropey or anything like that. Interesting to see what it's like on that black emulsion. Whether a pull. This is only Q1. It's the delicate purple tape. And as I say, we've only been an hour. It's to the book. Let's just tape off that tile there, look. What should we do with this? I think what I'll do, I'll just do it like that. We can get the idea. So what I'll do, I'll paint that side, leave that. Do exactly the same again. Just give it a bit of shake, should be alright. We have only just mixed it up. Let's start at the top. This is going to have two. This is the second coat going on. What we'll do, we'll try and get a nice even coat without flooding it. We're not putting more on than you would do if you were brushing on a proper job. So I think that's alright. That's had two. We've still got one that's got one on it. Do the same on this. Because I'll be honest, if I was doing a job where I was painting over tiles, I would quite possibly give 2 coats of the grit primer. Don't forget, that was the rub down section with a bit of a knot in it. Just hold it there, and I'm just painting across that bit there. And then when we take that tape off, we'll have a section that's only had one, and we'll look at that as well. Nearly done. What do we think of that colour over that black? The opacity, we can say white as a colour, but the opacity probably to be expected. Just laying it off with the tips of the bristles. Get it as an even coat. I don't think that's too bad, is it? Dropping onto the aluminum, as my American people would say. Not bad at that, are we? Just letting it off with the tips of the bristles. Again, not too bad. Coming to the nemesis of all painters, really, painting on plastic. Laying it off nicely. Even coat. And you know what, I'm leaving it at that. I'm going to come back later and I will take the tape off because we don't need that on for a week. And what I will do, spin you up to see me, what I'm going to do, hello, what I'm going to do, I'm going to come back this time next week and we'll have a review on what this paint's been like. It will have had that 7 days cure, which it tells us in that instructions. So we'll look at it after 7 days and we'll get a bit of a better idea on what it's like. Don't rush this. Don't expect it to be scratch resistant and doing all its things that it should do. It needs that time to actually cure. But I'm going to say to you, don't forget, this isn't just a grip coat paint. This is a primer, sealer, stain blocker, as well as the undercoat. And hopefully we will see, particularly on stuff like that, which had the coffee stains, albeit not particularly strong coffee stains coming through, That shouldn't have any staining coming through. And likewise, we've got a black and we've got quite a good opacity on that. So see you in 7 days time. This is going to be a long video, isn't it? 7 days long. Welcome everybody, welcome back to the channel. Now, this is a proper blend out. We've gone from last week to this week. We've had 7 days. I'm going to tell you, we've had 7 days of curing time. Why? Do you know why? Because this little bad boy is 7 days to properly cure, and I've done it properly. Right, I'm going to bring the camera in. We're going to have a look at these samples. We've got the perspex, we've got the tile, we've got the piece of aluminium, we've got the coffee stained piece of plasterboard. We've also got the piece of MDF, which was it black emulsion, and then we've got that little bit of architrave stroke trim to all our American friends that was painted in the gloss paint, which I don't know whether you can see that had slightly yellowed. Now let's bring the camera in and let's have a closer look. Hopefully you can see me all right. I'll bring them in so we can see them. Right, let's just have a closer look at the ones that are on painted surfaces or dry surfaces. Right, let's start with this one. This is the plasterboard that I don't know whether you can see. To me, that's not very coffee stained, but we did one coat there of the Uniprimer, Aqua Uniprimer. I put some tape across and that is the second coat side. So we've got one and then two. What do we think of that? I'll hold it close. Now, I think if we look at that, I can't see any staining of any coffee, albeit I don't think that's particularly a stained surface that I was going to be too worried about. But you can see opacity, and I'll say coverage stroke opacity. We're looking at the opacity. That first coat, not too bad. Second coat, obviously a lot better. And if it is stopping anything coming through, I can't see amongst that little lot, whether it be one coat or two coats, whether any coffee stains coming through. So I'm going to say for this paint, this primer, which is supposed to be a stain blocker, I'd say there's nothing coming through there. And that is a piece of plasterboard, just like you'd come across in a new build. So plasterboard, coffee stains, all looks good. So happy with that. Right, let's move across to the black paint, which was on just an ordinary piece of MDF. Again, we've got one coat there, we've got a second coat there. Opacity looks a lot better than the first, which over a black, what do you expect? But in general, I'd say on the whole, that actually looks all right, doesn't it? Now, let's just do a bit of a nail test across that. I can get my nail into that first one. I'm not saying this is a proper scientific scratch test, but I could probably just get my nail into there if I wanted to scratch it off. Yeah, you could scratch that off if you wanted. It is probably still a little bit soft. Yeah, so that is quite soft. But if this was being painted over to obliterate out, you're not going to do that sort of thing, are you? I'm not thinking that you're going to go around with a screwdriver and scratch it, but I think that result speaks for itself. You can do it, but we are onto something soft like a MDF, just out of interest. Not that I was really scratch testing these, but on the plasterboard it's a lot better, isn't it? That is very extreme to use the side of a screwdriver, so I'm not really going to be saying that that's how you scratch test. But on that piece of black, which probably the black's not, there you go, the black's not on there brilliant, slightly coming off, so let's discard that. Let's come across to the piece of aluminium. Now, all these were cleaned down. I used a bit of methylated spirit, so we'd actually degreased it. Now you can see there, that came off when I pulled the tape off, which the tape was just that lower tack tape. It came away, which it hadn't been on very long. Let's just have a go at that. Just with my nail. That's not bad at all. 1 coat, 2 coats. If I get the nail to try and scratch it, I can get a little bit off. But again, that is quite extreme scratching, and it's something I don't probably expect to happen. So not too bad. What do you think? Give us some comments below on that. Right, the yellow gloss. Can you see that on the screen? We've got 1 coat and then 2 coats. 1 coat's actually covered, stroke, opacity, very good, and a second coat for goodwill measures. Hopefully that's all right. Can you see it? Looks a lot better. Now, if you were going over previously painted gloss, give it a sand down like I did, and 1 coat would be enough, and then you can go over with your top coats. And particularly if you're using a water-based system with Dulux, that is a good stroke primer undercoat. So not too bad on that. Again, I'll just do a bit of a nail test. Not really moving that. So I'm quite happy with that. If you're doing a scratch test, that's all you need to do, unless you're doing scientific implements with your nail. That's not moved, so we're happy with that. That's a good undercoat stroke primer, and it's giving us that grip as well. So that's probably a pass on there as well. Let's get across to the perspex. Right, we've got the perspex, a 1 coat and a 2 coats. Let's just go with the nail on that. Piece of plastic, UPVC, it could be anything. Not bad with my nail. The one that's got 2 coats, I'm not really moving that. Let's just go to the edge. From the edge I can come into it and start scratching that off. Let's see on the second coat. It is a lot better. Let's put it this way, I'm glad I'm 7 days in and trying it. That's actually coming away, that first coat. I don't know how well you can see that. First coat there is coming away. Second coat over the top, that's a lot better. And again, that's only my nail. Let's just try the edge of the screwdriver's very harsh onto it. I'm not pressing particularly hard. It is better with a second coat compared to a first. So what do we think of that? Right, let's go to the tile, which is your main probably substrate that you'd want to be using this if you're painting over tiles. Again, this was all cleaned down with methylated spirit. 1 coat, 2 coat, we can clearly see that. This is just my nail. My nails aren't sharp, but I can get my nail on that and clearly just scratch that off. So if that was in a kitchen and you banged up against it, let's try something a bit. That's just one of those coral keyring things. I can bring that off, and if I really tried, I could start scratching that off quite easy just with that, and that's a bit blunt. Right, let's go for the side that's got 2 coats. This is if you were banging into it or catching it with something. Again, I'm not particularly pressing too hard, but that can come off. Let's just go with my nail. My nails aren't long, they're not particularly sharp. You can actually dig into that. Now, this isn't a scientific experiment, keep telling you. This is just me going with what everybody is probably doing themselves. They get the nail, they get something like a screwdriver, and they're testing it out. If I am doing a scratch test wrong, please tell me, but I think the general ordinary person or the painter and decorator, DIYer, anything in between, would try and do a scratch test to say whether something's stuck to a tile, particularly a tile, and go with the nail and start scratching at it. If you could start making marks in it. Does it need longer? I'm not sure, but it's clearly come off there and there. 1 coat, 2 coat. What do we think? Give us some comments below. So let's just do a bit of a roundup on these samples that we've got that came in that little kit. Now, I think if you were using this as a general grip coat, undercoat, primer sealer, I think you're going to find it very nice to apply. It goes on very well. If you start going at it to scratch it off, I think there's a lot of paints out there that would stand up exactly the same and you would start pulling it off like that. So don't be put off because I've got some scratch marks there. Where I have seen it being quite good is particularly over that oil-based gloss there. We've got 2 coats on there and the opacity for covering over that yellow has been very good. I've had this in my studio most of the week. It's in darkness and it's still stayed pretty white. So if you are doing a water-based system over particularly oil-based glosses and eggshells or a surface that you're not too sure of, I don't think you're going to have any problem with that whatsoever using it as your grip coat stroke adhesion primer. Now over where we've got the stains, I think it's been pretty good as well. So if you have got stains on a surface, and it does say for stain blocking, primer, sealer, stain block and undercoat all in one, you're not going to have any problems with that either. It was very nice to put straight onto that papery surface of the plasterboard as well. The aluminium, I think again it's a bit like a tile surface. It's a bit awkward to paint, but aluminium, as long as it's cleaned down properly, putting that over it, which is a water-based paint, is no problem at all. Back in the day, if you were painting over stuff like metals and aluminiums like that, you'd use an etch primer, which would be an oil-based paint, and it would etch into the surface to give it the grip. This isn't an etch primer, but it's doing the job of an etch primer because it is going over aluminium. So that's probably not a bad one. If you've got aluminium basketing to paint or spray, you could probably do that. Now, as I say, the Perspex, I think so long as you don't go at it to scratch it off, it is actually adhering to that surface and giving it quite a decent adhesion key to it. And again, 2 coats is probably better than 1. Now, all in all, finishing up on that, we know what we think of that one. It's over the black. I think the black's coming off as well. But all in all, not a bad paint. And I think at this moment in time, it's not a bad price. So if you are looking at actually using something like a Uniprimer, water-based Aqua Uniprimer from Dulux, give it a go. Just be mindful that if you do use it and you're looking at the grip properties, please remember it is a 7-day cure time, if not a little bit longer. Benefits of this: 30 minutes, it's dry and you can recoat just after an hour. So your turnaround time, if you do want to put 2 coats on, is actually quite quick. Now, I've spoke for long enough now. We've done this over definitely 7 days. Some videos are coming up at the end. People who are sending me super thanks, thank you very much. People who are buying me a coffee, it is much appreciated. And I will see you, please, on the next videos, and I will see you on the next one. And don't forget, I get videos out on a Monday and a Thursday, so twice a week. Thank you very much to everybody.